100% off the strength, man.
Off the strength.
I did it all on the strength, all on the strength. Fuck talking, I'ma do this off the strength.
Run it back, can't relax, that's just facts off the strength.
It's off the strength. Can't get that off the strength.
We need to get to the bottom of those situations, bro. Those would be the ones that's cutting you through, a lot of the noise out there, because these are really the conversations that people need to have, man.
You on your own.
You got plenty of privilege. Everybody got privilege. Some people are playing Michael Jordan leverage with their privilege, bro.
That is a trainer called Tony.
If you get from being on somebody that's working on the floor to the penthouse, I don't care what you did. You won that game.
What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. That's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work.
You remember homie from the Sacramento Kings?
Exactly.
Jeremy Lamb?
He was like, yo, I'm not going to make all these layups, but up there in the skybox, I can figure that out.
Jeremy Lamb playing chestnut checkers.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we're giving you an inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course, with me, I have a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. Uh-oh. What happened, KR?
My bad, brother. Hassan, I can't hear myself in the headphones.
We can still rock out.
We got to run back the intro.
Nah, man, we're going to talk about DAP etiquette to start this off, bro.
Just right into it, huh?
Just getting right into DAP etiquette, because it's been a number of different flagrant fouls in DAP world. First, I got to talk about what just happened in this hallway over here. If you don't look like you have the best of hygiene or the best of personal decisions outside of your life, don't extend me a DAP and expect me to feel obligated to get that DAP back, bro.
Yeah, you're going to have to just hang there for a little bit.
Yo, what's up, fam? Appreciate where you coming from. Love the fit. All right, man, cool. Nah, I just wanted to give you a DAP. No. My body, my choice. My hand is not touching your hand, sir.
Yikes.
Get away from me. Second thing I see on some real random ass DAP shit, the double DAP. I feel like the double DAP is not something that should be happening.
You got to elaborate on the double. What's the double?
So you and a homie walking, y'all about to part ways. DAP up. All right, fam, I'll see you later. All right, bro, I'll see you later. And then y'all end up walking in the same direction. And then after y'all keep walking in the same direction, you feel compelled to DAP again. The double DAP is something that looks crazy if you are on the outside looking in. It's like, yo, how many times y'all gonna say goodbye, bro?
Listen, attacking the ladder first, safety is of the utmost importance. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you're not safe till you get home and you lock that door. Anything can happen out there. So the double DAP, if it's necessary, it's a formality that I'm not mad at. The nasty hand, I don't know you. In my heart, that's when I give you the bowl or something. You know what I'm saying? Yo, what's good, bro?
A head nod is all you get. This is the extent. Because anything past that, it could be interpreted a different way. I don't want to continue this conversation. I just want to keep
violence,
going.
And now I have to eliminate you as a threat.
You just gonna leave me hanging? Yes. Now, deal with that.
I want the record to reflect that these same young hooligans, if you will, were on the bottom of the step when I was walking down. Like, that's such a inconsiderate thing to do when it's like, yo, this is a tight staircase. It's a lot of metal around. Like, what we really doing?
We are becoming the grumpy old men that we really don't need to be.
Pull your pants up and turn that music down while you're at it.
And it's crazy that you talk to a bunch of white kids, too. That's the wildest shit. What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength. We're giving you the inside look to all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course with me I got a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward. So hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that two-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week with the best goddamn wellness information available. Yeah. Brother Jones, how you doing this week, man?
I've really been, engulfed in this work that I've been taking on, and I've had the chance to, reaffirm my goals, right? Like when you get introduced to, a new opportunity, sometimes it's like, oh, I got to move different, right? And taking that time to really just lock in, really pick up these new skills, so to speak, and having that in real life application. The feeling of building a plane while you also learning how to fly?
Yeah, that's my whole entire life.
Bingo, brother. That's where I've been at, and the playlist for class this week was called Consistency.
Okay.
And that's just one of those things where, like, I ain't even giving you them long sonnet introspective word, titles no more. We're just going to give you words, stuff that you need to do. And I feel like that's what I've been working on gathering, is just where can I be consistent and staying in that space.
Man, that is one of the most vital things that everybody in life can use a lot more of, bro. I think for me, this week was working on consistency, but in that, I really want to lock in on the idea of faking the funk, huh?
Ooh.
Okay, when I say that, what comes to mind, my brother?
Man, I done faked the funk on some things back in the day.
Okay.
It typically was never a great thing, but sometimes very necessary.
So I do understand what you're talking about, and I understand what sentiments comes along with that. But in truth, I'm talking about all the things that I would do to keep myself busy and distracted from the unnecessary stresses of the world. So I'm faking everything else to get away from the funk in this.
I'm with you.
And this is something that I want to bring into the Ask the Professional segment this week, my brother.
All right.
So I was checking out the new Bill Burr comedy special, right? And in there, Bill Burr is talking about how he has picked up so many different hobbies, but in particular, all of these hobbies are just distractions from keeping him from being sad. He's like, I didn't want to make crepes. I didn't want to learn how to fly a plane. I didn't want to learn how to play the drums. He's like, more men are shockingly sad and can't say anything about it than you actually would account for on a day-to-day kind of basis. So in that route, I've also seen myself often pick up a bunch of different stuff. I ain't get to quite the paper mache level of distraction, but I can see I picked up a bunch of stuff to stay busy in order to not deal with whatever the current situation was, right? So my question this week is, in just trying to unpack some of that for why you see some men elect to do a lot of other stuff but deal with the stress, what are some of the things that you've seen along the way of distractions that keep you from dealing with the current thing that's actually making you feel the worst?
Man, that is a hell of a question, and I feel like we don't even have enough space to fully unpack. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm really just thinking about multiple aspects, right? You can't solve this problem that has so many different points of data on it. Like, fam, this ain't a 1 + 1. This is
no, it's complicated.
This is a cause. This is an effect. This is a how was I impressioned upon when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, what does my idea of success and identity, there's a lot that's really wrapped into that. And when I think about gaining a hobby and the skills and feeling that you get from that, of course it's going to combat sadness, right? Like, sadness, I think, really just is a space that people gravitate towards when there's an insurmountable feeling of just like stuff that you're carrying that you don't really have to. And I think really just evaluating like stuff that you hold on to, like shit that you carried with you for years that somebody said when you was like 20, you know, and you about to be 40 and you still thinking about that thing.
That's the thing that I think, at least for me, I took from that whole thing. Again, special is hysterical. You should see it. I think it's called like the Drop Dead Years or something like that.
Hilarious.
Where the premise of that is something that's so true that it rings across a lot of different spaces where it's like, yo, fam, there are a number of different reasons why on a given day, the thing that you know you need to do is superseded by the thing that is going to be busy work. Because I think just in general, all of the different information that I got about what being busy versus being successful, what being busy versus being effective comes up. But then ultimately it's like, yo, being this whole idea of what it means to be a man. When's the last time you evaluated that shit? Like, yo, we run it through diagnostically.
When I wake up and I puff my chest up.
But it should be some shit like that. You should get in there and like run like a car diagnostic. How often you check your car on some of the shit that you know you need to have going on, right? You gonna go through top to bottom. Okay, what does it mean for me to feel stable? What does it mean for me to provide? What does it mean for me to be happy? What does it mean for me to be able to be dynamic and have the ability to respond to all of these different things? If you feel the same way that you feel at 40 that you did at 20, maybe it's time to reevaluate that, right? Maybe it's time to take a second, take a beat and be like, yo, what story told me that I only have two emotions that I could really feel? I could feel fine or I could be fucked up. There's a lot of other stuff that happens in between there.
Yeah.
And I really want to try to, just put my best effort into expressing all the way through that, so instead of faking the funk, all right, cool. some of this stuff is productivity work. Some of this stuff is necessary to distract you, but then sometimes you got to sit in the discomfort and work yourself through that, you know? And yeah, finding opportunities and finding places and finding groups that help you get to that kind of position has been one of the best ways to help me stop faking the funk.
Listen, man, fake it till you can't take it. You gotta make it. Don't break it. You know what I'm saying?
He's just throwing out the rhyming words in there.
A lot of rhyming words right there, man.
If you're faking it until you're making it, Kyle, unfortunately, it can land you into some sticky situations. And speaking of which, Kyle, I got to get into a little bit of good. I got to get a little bit of bad out. Right. And I got to talk about a little bit of ugly things this week. Actually, I got a few ugly things that I'm definitely questioning. It's time for this week's episode of Rip from the Headlines. Now, faking it until you make it, Kyle, has come up in a couple of different things. I'm going to look at a couple of these quick hits real quick. Did you see the MLB's newest logo placements on these new hats that they started rolling out?
Of course.
So this is what happens when you eliminate the DEI
where my
program
lady's from, you know?
at the same time as you eliminate employees that really have an eye for what actual merchandise it needs to look like. So
yeah, I know.
The Texas,
I've seen it,
and the Oakland A's are my favorite out of that. Did you see those two in particular?
Did you see the Angels? Because what that A is it was very close to the anals. Yes, I did see this, actually. I'm very aware.
The $10,000 the ass hat is definitely something that I've seen start to sell for quite literally thousands of dollars because of this mishap, all right?
Yeah.
Next up on questionable purchases.
Wait, hold on. You really didn't elaborate for the folks. Like, it's the team logo, right? But it's in between the team name, and it's blocking valuable letters.
Real estate
that should not be blocked. And this was just a bad decision.
How do you not have oversight to see this? Like, there was no Spanish-speaking people in the room when they were like, all right, give a final approval for this. Here's the stamp. We're going to put this out here. And that's... It's like, clearly, it just says tetas.
Yes.
It's like, there's nothing else there.
It's titties in Spanish if you don't speak it.
And they just put ass just in regular old English. It's nothing.
I'm telling you, go to the angels or the anals, if you will.
Yeah. So, okay. Now, moving into another questionable purchase. Have you seen T-Pain's muscle shirt that he put on and started flexing on his IG Live with?
I feel bad for whoever the brother's body was that actually did the work for that.
Not only do I feel bad for that, I feel bad for him buying a shirt that does not match his skin tone at all.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's black. Like,
it's not. It's just a straight up white man's physique.
It looks like the spray tan to go on stage to perform somewhere.
Yeah, there's the last acceptable version of blackface is what they look like. They have decided to make that T-shirt out of the material of.
Yikes.
You know, a little weird, but. Here's one that Faking the Funk definitely got a little bit darker on, Kyle. A 39-year-old raw vegan influencer known for promoting a fruit-only diet has died from malnutrition after living on only raw fruits and vegetables for 10 years straight, Kyle.
Nope.
Okay? Faking the Funk.
Nah.
You got to understand where you have to draw the line.
Nope.
It's like, now, you could take some of that abstract. We just came from juice space just now. A good juice could go a long way, but it should not be the only thing that you have for 10 years. I'm going to tell you where you go wrong.
Fam, this is a horrible story.
It definitely is.
For one, when you add the words raw vegan influencer together, that's already just, I don't like the way.
It's starting you down by about like 50 points.
You know, secondarily, this woman was thin, and not in like a healthy kind of thing.
She wasn't thin. She was starving.
That part.
Malnourished. She died of malnutrition.
Yeah, I can see that happen. I mean, but 39 years, bro, that's a lot.
No, it's not.
She lived, her 39 was equivalent to like you know, a good young black death, if you will.
No, I don't accept that. And it's coming off the heels of some of, again, just the worst of these IG influencers scamming and just getting people to follow along with dietary things that are not great. Like, dude, if you was following this and you don't get the same amount of alert that, hey, this lady actually didn't make it all the way through, you could be ingesting all different types of stuff thinking that you're walking around doing something healthy
just
when it's
fruit
really not.
And juice for 10 years.
That's it. 10 years straight. Another food crime that I saw out there, Kyle, there was a kid that called the cops on his mom for eating her ice cream. Did you see anything about that?
applaud that young man's bravery.
This was also in a home that you would not have expected this to go down in.
Yeah, no, I see what's going on here, and I know that somebody got their ass whooped. Wisconsin? That's unfortunate. You know, I mean, I've done a lot as a kid. Like, you know, I threatened to run away a couple times.
Okay.
Threatened to call Child Protective Services, that type of thing, like thinking I had leverage. It never really turns out the way that you think it is going to.
You don't really run the numbers the way that you should as a kid to understand that this is not going to end the way that you want it to.
Not even a little bit.
What's the worst thing that you've done as a child that you thought you was going to get away with, but you ended up actually getting caught dead wrong with?
I did a lot of mischievous things, and I'm not about to rat myself out right now, even all these years later.
I'll throw it out there. Me and shout out to the homie Jason, we started reconstructing a bunch of electronics in the house, where let me tell you that what that actually meant was just opening up a bunch of old electronics and trying to plug them in and then do shit with the wires at the same time. Something that would definitely kill a kid.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you.
So we're in there, we're messing around with this stuff, and I tell you, I think it was a hair dryer I'm trying to put back together. When I tell you the size of the spark that jumped off of this hair dryer and burnt the front of my shirt,
Yikes.
could have been easily out of here at any point in time. Thought you could get home and just throw that in the laundry room or throw that in the laundry basket and just walk that off. It's like, hey, is this a burn mark on your shirt?
You almost killed yourself.
You got to explain that.
See,
after school.
That was never the kind of trouble that I got into. Trouble I got
curiosity,
into
bro.
was curiosity with young ladies. You know what I'm saying?
That's always there, too. Yeah, I mean, listen, now we ain't going to get the Getting Dotty hotline.
That's what I'm saying. See, that's how I feel, you know?
Kyle was out there playing hide and go get. You can't say that in these days, man. It's not it.
Slide out of that. We're going to get into my own segment.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, man.
Because specifically last week you talked about the caliber of gentlemen that I brought up and these run clubs that were getting started. Now I could go back and tell you that Diplo's Run Club has just announced their year of programming that they're going to be going through, but I'm going to skip over Diplo this week and I'm going to highlight none other than Manuel Noriega.
Who?
N-O-R-E. Nori.
Okay.
Niggas on the run eating, Kyle.
Stop it.
He is actually going to be on the run and eating in New York City. Now how do you feel about on March 29th? For his first ever show coming back to New York City in years, he is also going to be hosting a 5K. That's right. Tony taking over New York. Nori is back. Okay. And he's going to be running with you, man. How you feel about hearing about that?
It sounds good on paper. I want to see it in real life.
It's Run Champs now. Putting the drinks down.
Run Champs?
Getting the shoes laced up, man.
What's homie name that is with him? The guy that also is
FN?
FN, yeah. I want to see both of them.
I don't know about FN. I ain't putting him out there. He ain't say that he was running. He was making that commitment. But Nori said that on March 29th that he is going to do that, man. So shout out to that brother for doing that. And I also saw that Gunna has said that he is going to be looking to try to compete in the 2025 New York Marathon and also Chicago and Sydney. And if he can qualify for all three, he is going to try to take his talents to Cape Town and Berlin. Now we got some of the brothers on the other side of the rap game in this running community. Kyle, how do you feel about hearing that?
You talking about Gunna from Atlanta?
Gunna, yeah.
He out here running.
He's running too. He's trying not to just run the streets. He's trying to do marathons, multiple in a year. He wants to qualify for all the big marathons.
We have always talked about this merger between hip hop and wellness, right? Or a love affair, if you will. We've categorized it in many different things, a blending. And I'm happy to see that more people like you and I are doing these things that have always been done. As we covered them, we just had a week talking about Diplo and Jelly Roll.
Yeah, you accused me of only covering the less than melanated people in this category.
Hey, man, I'm just calling it how I've seen it, you know? I'm just calling a spade a spade. It's black and white, baby. It can't be nothing else. Nonetheless, let's get into this rip from the headline segment. Now, I do want to start on a little bit of good. This ain't really the good, bad, or ugly. This was just something that was interesting that I stumbled upon. Now, when I talk about Jesus Shuttleworth, what comes to mind?
Ray Allen, he got game.
Bingo. That's the movie, right? Now, for the young kids out there that might not know about this, it was one of Spike Lee's films that obviously, you know, if you hooped, and especially if you were from New York or had New York experiences, this was that Coney Island story that, like, everybody knows. And the story that I didn't know was Spike Lee was being interviewed and someone asked him, well, who else did you consider for the role of Jesus Shuttlesworth that was played by Ray Allen? He said, well, I reached out to Kobe, and Kobe was like, yo, I would love to, but I'm going to be in the gym all summer working on my game. I ain't really got time to film.
You got to respect that.
He goes to AI. AI was like, yo, I'm not auditioning give me the part. And he's like, nah, man, I need you to come in and audition. And then obviously his third choice was Ray Allen, and Ray Allen was the only one that took it seriously. And I thought that was a great kind of behind the scenes insight of like, damn, I never really thought about who else would be in that role. It felt so natural to see Ray Allen, at least for me.
It would have been a drastically different movie seeing any of those other two respectfully in that position.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how the acting would have come across, but just where they were in their respective orbits at that time would have changed what that movie was received like.
I just thought of that too, and really thinking about like the importance of like characters, you know what I mean, and really casting to portray what you want to portray, you know. So yeah, that was an interesting kind of note that I came across. And I was like, man, I'm gonna talk about this on the podcast. You know? Now, sliding into the good that I saw. Are you familiar with the brother Hannibal Buress?
Yes, I am.
Hannibal Buress, the comedian. I want to say he's from Chicago.
I feel like that's true.
I don't know that for certain. But
we're just going to put this Windy City on him.
We're just going to throw the Windy City on that brother. Nonetheless, this man is opening a new venue in the former space in Brooklyn called the Knitting Factory.
Shout out to the Knitting Factory and shout out to Hannibal Buress for bringing something back in that space.
Now, I brought us here because Williamsburg, for the listeners that don't live in New York, is one of those spaces that has gone through the most change from the warehouses and empty, crime, desolate place it used to be.
Yeah.
That was very industrial to now it being like one of those spaces that's highly populated. There's so many different areas of real estate.
It's like, lower Manhattan.
It's crazy.
That's really what Williamsburg has turned into.
And it used to be Brooklyn. It's no longer that.
It is not. This has been, you know, we talk a lot about areas being gentrified, but really territory is just being redistributed is really what it should be. That is now a part of functional Manhattan.
It's just across the water. You gotta pay an extra $9 to see it. Now, talk to me about the Knitting Factory. Just share a brief memory that you might have.
Filth in the Knitting Factory back in the day, bro.
What kind of space is it, Tony?
It was. I can't tell you what it looks like now.
Yeah.
But it's one of those spaces where you walk in and you don't have a lot of windows that was occupying the space. Anytime you were in New York City in a music venue,
it was black.
Venue, painted black, that didn't have a lot of windows, it should let you know what type of things are acceptable, encouraged, and damn near cheered inside that venue.
I didn't think about it like that. But it makes a lot of sense. Now, one of the shows that I really enjoyed was, I remember there was a Scion series. Remember Scion, like the cars?
When it dance your body, real I feel like.
So this is how I'm showing my age right now. So they had a series that was similar to like a Red Bull Music Academy kind of situation where they were sponsoring parties and bringing artists to perform. So I saw Hit Boy perform super early. I remember seeing Freddie Gibbs early in his career.
That all makes sense.
It was a white woman that was a rapper that I don't remember if she made it out or not. But yeah, it was one of those. It was a weird space.
She's now a barista around the corner. It all tracks out. Nah, I went there. So I was there for one of the many Tribe Called Quest getting back together and then breaking up again kind of sagas.
Nice.
Like, I legitimately think Michael Rappaport was filming for the movie that night at Knitting Factory when I was there. I was there I've done hip hop karaoke before it turned into trap karaoke.
I remember that.
Hip hop karaoke with Tanya Morgan, super random, like group out of Brooklyn as well.
Yeah.
Where Don Will is now like hosting a bunch of other stuff, and I've seen him. He's just a Brooklyn dude that I run into too often in that space. I've gone to a Busta Rhymes show over there. Like, I've been in there for a lot of random ass things. And then they had what was the barbecue spot that was right next door to it?
Oh, man, I know what you're talking about. I forgot the name.
Never mind. The Let Out, though. To get you some barbecue right after you coming out of a concert over there. Yeah, it was a good time. Good times was had.
We're just going to let that good note just go ahead and float by. That's what Hannibal Buress did. He's reimagining the space, and I think it's going to be like a concert venue still, particularly, and maybe potentially a comedy space.
Yeah, it should be both of those. It makes sense, and he's also into the music stuff too. I mean, so I could see him bringing that energy back. He's been
producing too.
He's been producing. He's put out some stuff,
some music, something somehow. You know, I actually saw him in Brooklyn, which was cool. I was watching one of them playoff games, and he happened to be in the bar watching the game too. I think it was when the Eagles, the game before the Super Bowl.
We're gonna look back at Hannibal and give him the credit that he did for honestly being one of the very people that was responsible for Bill Cosby ended up where Bill Cosby went.
The first whistleblower, if you will.
He definitely was.
And so he's early to the scene.
He was early to the scene, and I think that might have changed where his trajectory was going. But shout out to that brother.
I wanted to ask, but I was like, it's too heavy of a question right now to just drop. Hey, yo, man, how you feel about Bill Cosby for real? You know what I'm saying?
Where's the cause in your life, bro?
Yeah. Speaking of ugly stuff, we're just going to get right into it. This rave pickleball.
Okay.
Now, when I combine those two words together, Tone, what are you thinking about?
Sounds like the New Williamsburg crowd is having a field day.
What if I were to tell you there was a glow-in-the-dark pickleball situation that has already taken place?
Yeah, man. It looks like
They sold tickets to it. People showed up. Like, are you a glow-in-the-darker? Like, how would you feel about this as an activity that was advertised to you?
So I'm not in the core demographic.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
When's the last time you glowed in the dark?
You know, it's been quite some time. Probably like the tour, Glow in the Dark tour with Kanye back in the day before he was doing all the wildness.
I'm with you.
You know, that was probably my last glow in the dark experience. But I've covered on here that pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports that you see people playing. So it makes all the sense in the world to keep seeing more people get involved with it. Actually, the home Kieran has been doing different nights of the week. He's been having pickleball tournaments that he's trying to get people to jump in and around, man. So you'd be surprised. You're seeing more and more people pop out. Pickleball paddle polishers is going to need to be here.
Now, if I told you that at Glow in the Dark, there was a live DJ, cocktails would also be served, and this is happening in Miami, does any of that interest you?
I think we need to start to differentiate when we need to have bar, live DJ, and the fitness activities happening at the same time. Because it just sounds like a lot
food and music to pair like that. You know?
It sounds like a lot happening, and they all don't need to happen at the same time. I think you could gradually progress through the day and get into that. But you don't have to do all of those things at the same time. Shout out to everybody that does it. I don't know a lot of people that do it well.
Now, earlier you talked about faking it till you make it. If I were to tell you, you could go out and get you a pair of fake legs. Describe these legs to these people, man.
They are the perfect accompaniment with T-Pain's T-shirt, but these are actually silicone-like, and they look pretty nasty. I'm not going to lie to you. This looks like some definitely dirty business
let
happening.
Me paint this picture. Genetically, let's say I just wasn't blessed to have nice legs, and I feel a bit insecure about wearing shorts, and I see these fake legs on the market. Is this an investment that could ultimately change my, life's trajectory?
It definitely will change your life's trajectory. It's going to make everybody know that you got them silly-ass pants on. They're going to know not to talk to you.
In the world where people are going under the knife and anesthesia for, body augmentation, if you will, is this a respectable option if you still wanted to go that route?
I'm going to keep it a buck with you. If you get the fake legs, you know that you're not far away from getting the fake.
I don't know what you're talking about, Tony. You want to elaborate?
If you get the fake legs, you are a hop, skip, and a jump away from getting the extendo put on you.
You're working your way up to a new piece, is what I'm hearing.
Because that's really what you wanted at the end of the day. Don't nobody give a fuck about your legs like that. You try to figure out how you can add some length, some width to your situation. That's not the route, but go ahead. More power to you, bro.
I'm going to pass on the new piece and hope that people make, responsible decisions with their lives. And we're going to slide out of that segment, bro, and we're going to get into a little Raising the Bar segment, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, now in store to raise your bar. Brother Tone.
Let's go, man. Raise it up.
The irony and the stumble that I had that I know you're certainly going to keep in the show, because that's what it's always about.
Not true.
Is
only the funny ones.
The Raising the Bar segment is about finding your voice today, and in my voice, I feel like sometimes, my brain is often moving faster than I can say what I feel.
Okay.
Right. And, being as though that I have just jumped into this new line of work, I had the opportunity to experience a general AI essentials course. Right now, I've been talking to different folks about how they feel about AI just entering into that life, right? Now that I avoided it for a long time, and it's like, yo, we are actually here. Like, this is the future I don't know if it's the one we dream, but it's the one we got. You know what I'm saying? If you can't be with the one you love the one you with kind of mentality. And as I'm canvassing these different people, like, I'm really just getting a multitude of different answers from people that are actually in favor of it, people that are like early adapters. And then there's also the people that have a visceral denial of like, I don't want that shit in my life, right? And it began to take me on a few different side quests, if you will.
Okay.
Now, this first side quest we're going to go on is, are you aware that A Different World is now streaming on Netflix?
I am.
Have you seen it?
I have not watched it on Netflix, no.
So The Different World, the show, obviously from, I want to say that was late 80s?
Late 80s, early 90s.
Was the inception. Shout out to we was talking about Bill, now we're here again. Nonetheless, the show is now on Netflix, but it's like AI generated. So they had to essentially, the film that it was shot in was old technology that's not fitting in a 4K and getting shown in all of these different worlds in this format. So they like, you know how they would remaster things back in the day? This was like remastered through AI.
So wait, hold on. You trying to tell me that they got a finer Lisa Bonet out here?
It's interesting. It's interesting because it doesn't affect like looks, so to speak, unless you really look at like people's mouths when they talk and you realize that like, oh, this isn't like real, so to speak.
Yeah.
It really comes up in like background. So when you think about a poster in the back or like a logo or like something small, it'll be like a scribble or like it'll look like something, but it's not actually that. It like just kind of embodies the essence of what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that's crazy, because I'm thinking about a show like that has a major budget, and I'm always the type to recognize like a shoe or a logo. It's like, oh damn, that logo ain't even the same no more. Like, I remember that poster. I'm looking at older things like that for the nostalgic feeling.
Yeah.
When it's just made up, it just kind of feels like, ugh, where am I at with it? You know?
I think it has to be tough for you to be in a position to actually notice that. And I think that's testimony to where all people who are desirous of creating good art understand that the details are the things that ultimately end up mattering the most. Every single detail is the thing that makes you make your pieces transcendent. That show was not just a show that lasted as long as it did by chance, right? That was pretty much responsible for a lot of people, a lot of black families being like, this is why we need to send our kids to college.
To a HBCU.
Kind of indoctrinating the whole generation of people to believe in something that was very much architected, really, right? So whether or not those details gets pronounced in the new versions of that, it might miss. AI is not going to do that. It's going to look to shorten some of those gaps, you know, fill it into with something that makes the most sense. But I don't know if it's going to give that same kind of energy, because we're not in those same kind of times. And people have also, you know, evolved their way of thinking about the person that was behind this telling you to live this life. We kind of know where he ended up. So we got to look at everything in a little bit of a different lens.
Speaking of looking at things in a different lens, the second part of this side quest was thinking about the ways in which AI has been used in my everyday life that we've conceded to, like a Netflix algorithm, a digital streaming platform, automated calls when you're trying to call somebody, like, you know, testing if you're a robot or not on websites, that kind of thing.
Ads just running to you that are ridiculously
I was
too
just
specific.
talking about some Vaseline. Like, wait, is that a Vaseline commercial? What my algorithm doing? You know? So when I'm tying all of that into your voice, right? When you have to use AI specifically on high levels, it's about a prompt, right? It's about what do you say you need, like, and as articulate as you can make it from start to finish to get the output that you actually want.
Yeah.
If you're not a good communicator, this tool is just going to give you the lowest form of what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Of like, yo, if I'm down bad and I need a plan that's not only going to allow me to make money once, but to make money concurrently over a set amount of time, that's going to be a different answer articulated than, yo, I need to make $1,000. What can I do?
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that prompt is two different things.
Generative AI is kind of like a fucked up genie in them old 80s movies.
For sure.
Like, you ever see Big when you make the wish?
Little Kazam.
Hey, Kazam. Any of them movies where there was
Aladdin,
a genie,
if you will.
and the genie will give you an answer, and it would be what you technically asked, but it's going to be the worst version of that. That's kind of what generative AI is at this point. It hasn't figured out how to fill the gaps where some people mean one thing, say something else, and expect to get a different result than what the input actually was. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It's interesting, right? And I think it funnels into your voice specifically because your voice should be prioritizing what you need, right? Are you using your voice to say, this is what I need, this is what I don't? I don't feel compelled to dap you if I don't want to touch you, right? You used your voice today, and I feel like even when we move into these digital spaces, it's so important to maintain who you are.
Yeah.
And I used to have this idea of like, man, that's how the robot's going to get to know us and they're going to kill us. But it's like, if that's the tools that we have and that's going to shorten this gap and allow us to get further, hey, man, I got another 35, 45 in me, hopefully. You know, I would love to be 91, but who knows what the world going to look like around that time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So in this long-winded rant, if you will, I know that you were definitely one of those people that have worked in tech. Like, that was your entry point even before wellness, and it's always kind of piqued your interest. I'm curious about how you utilize AI present day to, like, you know, what types of prompts or, you know, utilization do you have?
Yeah.
But then also, can you just speak a little bit about finding your voice and maintaining that when using these prompts?
Yeah, I think the finding your voice question extends beyond AI. It's a tricky thing to find your voice today when you can't account for all the things that influence you. I think a lot of people obliviously walk around not thinking that the AI actually fucking works.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, all of my voice, my opinion, everything else, I would be reluctant to say that this comes from not just me. This is not just my genesis. Some stuff I have put in there intentionally, and some stuff I have gone out of my way to seek, and then other stuff seeps in. That's the same, and that's true for everybody, and it happens at a different level. We are all on a gradient of being susceptible to somebody else telling you why you need to do that.
Yeah.
I think the key to finding your own voice is to be able to go back, like we were talking about earlier, evaluate the shit that you're thinking. It was like, hey, just because I thought it doesn't make it right, and why am I thinking like this? If you can have a sentient moment to take a breath, take a beat, and understand that either this is something that I actually do feel, or this was something that literally came through some pathway and is now inside my mind that I can't get rid of, that's going to be the key to helping you navigate just life in general. Forget putting AI into that.
Amen.
Hey, you need to just stay away from less thoughts that you feel like organically are yours. And you have to, the only way that I know how to understand that, sit with your feelings, sit with your emotions, sit with how you understand, and really test out, do you care about this shit as much as you said you just did, whatever the case may be. Now, when you get into the AI side of it, it's kind of like somebody being mad that you created a combustion engine car when they have a horse and buggy, right? It's kind of like, yo, no matter how much I like the horse and buggy, this is not going to be the way the future is going to look.
Yeah.
There's like 4 of them left in Central Park now. If like you going down that hill where these tired ass horses is dragging around, malnourished as hell, looking like they ain't never eat.
Lord knows that shit smell.
It's just all over the place, right?
Oh.
This is obviously the worst way for you to do whatever you needed to do at this point in time. Okay, there is a much easier way that's faster, and it's going to help you truncate time in execution. If you choose not to use that, you are choosing not to advance after a certain point. It's like, I could choose to not use all the modern advancements that I have at my disposal.
Yeah.
That's not going to hurt nobody else. That's only going to hurt you, right?
Yeah.
Along the way of understanding how to better yourself in that, you have to be immersed in it. Test it out, put your own thought processes in, participate in the rooms where we're not accounting for your perspective. We're not programming based off of this. Some of these answers might legitimately be mismanaged, and it might be something that comes across in a way that is at your detriment because you're not the person speaking up in the room. You don't have your own voice to be like, yo, check this out. We need to do some reevaluating. Who said that this was the prompt that you were supposed to get? You know, it's all input-based derivatives right now. No matter which one of the general purpose AIs you're talking about, somebody taught that at some point in time what to do when. You set up this prompt, okay, we're going to go here. You set up this, we're going to do that, right?
Yeah.
We need more people who think differently to be participating in that pool. Otherwise, you're never going to be accounted for. And your voice is just going to be something that we just going to go ahead and tuck that right in the corner with the horse, with the gas lamp. We're going to tuck that in with the
gas lamp is crazy.
We're going to take it back to the abacus, all of the shit that existed at some point in time.
Not the abacus.
You used to have to calculate some shit. When's the last time you seen a Texas Instrument calculator? So just go ahead.
TI-34.
Just go ahead and throw that shit in the garbage.
The TI with the back and the case.
Yeah, exactly. That
was my first cell phone.
Imagine you showing that to somebody that is 10 years old today. They're going to look at you like you lost your fucking mind. Yo, you can't go. I can't get IG on this shit.
See,
I can't go on TikTok with this.
This is another side tangent of like,
fuck your Mario Kart.
Think about all of the useless things we had, like that we were forced to use. That like we don't. Like, when's the last time you used a compass, bro?
This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Let me know.
It is not a functional thing today.
The last time you made an actual circle and measured the circumference or something.
No,
you know?
It's not something that I have high utilization for at this moment. And this is why I called you out on it when you tried to tell me that you was navigating in your car using your compass. I was like, you a goddamn liar.
I've been traveling west, going east, sometimes southwest, if you will. Again, before I leave this last part, so there was a point where I was really looking for different jobs outside of the mural painting job.
Yeah.
And one of the opportunities was apprenticeship for woodworking. I was never humbled.
Hassan is laughing at you for saying that.
More in my life. Yeah, I'm a woodworker. Take it however you want it. I ain't get the job, but I was experienced, if you know what I'm saying.
He was experienced in working wood.
You know? Sometimes you gotta lay it down. That's why I wear the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Nonetheless, I'm getting off topic. When I had to take a test and they had the ruler without the numbers, I've never been humbled more in my life, bro. Like, it's people out there that can't read. Cool. Maybe you can't comprehend certain words. You don't understand silent words like pneumonia has a P and shit like that. But when there's a ruler and you don't know the spaces in between, fam, that is a different level. That's a different level of just like, damn, I'm dumb as hell. I think this is an inch. That's got to be a quarter, but this look like that's the 1/16 right there. I know it. Like,
yeah, see, that's when our American stupidity comes out. It's like, yo, everybody else on the metric shit, they understand it. It's just like we have fallen severely behind on that
we
side.
got centimeters and millimeters and all types of shit, man.
Yeah, man.
Nonetheless, we got to slide out of that. We got to get into a little relaxation segment, brother. Now, the Relax Responsibly segment this week is brought to you by me. That is KR Jones, and I'm here to tell you about these events that I've had. The roll up and roll out class, as well as the elevated yoga. Now, as the winter has kind of come to a close, we're looking at it down the, into the springtime, if you will. And I'm here to promote these classes more, get these folks in here and move your body, elevate your mind, and let's get into it. Now, my relaxation responsibly segment happened this week with the sound bath, brother.
Okay, talk to me about that sound bath.
Now, the sound bath, the planning for it was terrible on my behalf because I ain't do what I needed to do to really get it to be where it needed to be. But the experience, nonetheless, was really undeniable, man. And having that time to, really ground, I feel like, I used to think of sound bath and meditation similar to a mime, like the little meme people, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, he's just faking it right now, bro. He ain't really doing it. And it's like people fake meditate. But when you really get into that space where you take that moment to absorb the sound, to check in with your body, to really be present, I think it really is beneficial, especially when you get into those different frequencies, man. So I got a chance to elevate my frequency.
Yeah.
At frequency movement.
I don't think it's just a thing that elevates your frequency. It's transcendent, man. It takes you into a whole different mind state, Yeah. I think about that soundscape that is accompanied with intentional movement, that is accompanied with the mantras that usually go along with that. And it could be something that sets up a person's whole week differently, bro. So I don't understand quite fully where any of the short steppings in your definitions took place, but I encourage you to keep exploring that because the need for that is more pronounced now more than ever. Kyle, you could take the Organic Thug ministry to a different level and bring back Sunday service,
I already know.
you will change the landscape of these same Williamsburgians that
I
we were
just
talking
know
about
how the
before.
church, it's going to turn into a cult, right?
That's what we need it
and
to be.
once it's a cult, it's like it just grows larger than you want. You know, then we're gonna have a Burning Man in Brooklyn, every year, and it's
That's
like,
what we need.
What the fuck are
Burning
they doing?
Bushwick. Write it down right now. Burning
The
Bushwick.
burning bush. That's what it's going to be.
That's it.
That's
and
it.
there's probably a couple of those out there too. You know, people playing fast and loose with the rules.
Fast and loose is never a good combo. Pick a struggle.
I am going into my relaxation situation, Kyle, and this was something that I had a chance to do that is one of my favorite pastimes in the spring. Kyle, I got a chance to go ahead and go on a little bit of an exploratory ride, and I got to sit right on the dock of the bay out in LIC, man.
You was watching the tide?
I was watching the tide and,
Roll away.
couple of strides in tide. I was having a time. A time was had while I was out there, Kyle. And more importantly, I got a chance to see some people doing some things that I was like, okay, the health and wellness community is alive and well. People just out being active and being amongst that is something that makes me feel great. But then also seeing the different things that people need while they're on the move was something that's quite interesting, bro. I saw literally a mobile coffee truck that was being able to be pulled right into the park. I saw a bagel shop that got pulled right into the park. It was like, yo, these little new versions of these roach coaches back in the day is what they used to be. The new version of the food truck. Kind of fly, bro.
A roach coach is crazy.
You know what I'm talking about. Them old school joints you shouldn't get anything off of. They're very questionable. You putting your life in danger anytime you're ordering something
It was a
off
brother
of that.
I used to support, and I would get a donut back in the day.
How'd that stomach feel after that donut, bro?
Yeah, it was all right.
I ain't knocking it. But the new ones, they look a little
Never
cleaner.
cook food. Not that
that's what I'm
street
saying.
meat, you know?
You can see.
He ain't washing his hands
It's
in
clean.
there.
That's exactly my point. These had sinks, and I was like, aha! An establishment serving food with a sink is something that I could see myself be a part of, my brother. And the last part about that is I got a chance to sit back and enjoy all of that with some FOY chews, my man.
Take it easy.
FOY is the Fountain of Youth chews, bro. There was a daytime elevated enhancement. These microdose gummies combine not only a little bit of THC, but you get some chaga mushrooms, you get some lion's mane, and a couple of different things that make you feel elevated while you're taking in the sights and scenes, my friend.
All right.
So I had to shout out them. Shout out the people over at FOY. That's Fountain of Youth, man. They are a wellness product, Kyle.
Listen, I'm here for the wellness product. I think everybody needs to touch that fountain at least once in their life, you know.
You know what? Speaking of touching the fountains once in your
You
life.
gotta rub the wood like Kiki Palmer.
No, we're not doing
Nah,
that.
I mean, not Palmer.
I'm going to step away from whatever Kyle is talking about, and I want to get into this mind over matter this week. And mind over matter, Kyle, I want to focus on a concept called Kaizen. Are you familiar with that?
Come on, brother. I'm the one who introduced you to the podcast. I got a playlist called Kaizen. Man, I did this. You can go back, listen to the podcast,
You
man.
got to put me on to when you said that, because I can tell you how it came to me this week.
Go ahead.
In case somebody else hasn't come across this topic, this is a Japanese concept that focuses on the idea of improvement, right? The concept is referring to the business of activities continuously improving around you, right? And I think a lot of people mistaken the idea of perfection with the idea of trying to strive for continuous improvement, right? So in the self-help kind of books, this Kaizen comes up back and forth where it's like, you don't have to be perfect, but you should always want to be better. The idea behind wanting to be better is something that I want to carry out into this week, and I think it's something that is important to kind of differentiate how that's not also falling into the traps of being perfect. It's like, I'm not looking at the end of the week and going through my score chart and being like, all right, I didn't get 100% everything. This is complete failure. I obviously don't care about this, don't want to move on this, and don't need to go anywhere else, you know? Moreover, I want to look at the incremental areas that you can continuously want to improve being the thing that you should continuously want to do in life in general, because I think that would help you actually execute what it is that you say you want to do. So closing that gap between how you stop faking the funk and how you start feeling better and how you start actually accomplishing, I think this Kaizen is something that ties that all together. Now, my brother, I did not mean any disrespect to you covering that topic, but, you know, sometimes you got to hear something from a different source for it to jump out and, like, shake the shit out of you, Kyle.
Listen, bro, on some real, I was thinking about using that as like a tag on some graffiti shit. And my understanding of it was change for good.
Okay.
Right? Of just like a lot of times we do get defeated in our own thought, in our own mind, and it becomes disabilitating, right? It kind of keeps you stuck in place. And when you start to think that, like, wait a minute, there's stuff out there that is actually working in my favor. There's change, there's momentum, there's that energy that's around. It's life-changing, especially when you're in a dark space or, just in the sunken place, if you will. So, yeah, man, I talked about that a minute ago. I came across that, so I'm happy that it found you.
Full circle, my friend.
That is a full circle moment. Sounds like you're hopeful for something, Tony.
Yeah, man, I'm hopeful to continue to work towards that continuous improvement and bring that into my energy and my efforts that carry me not only through the rest of this year, but carry me through the rest of my life, man, because I want to feel like I don't want to close the book without having feel like I continuously wanted to move myself forward.
Heard. Man.
What about yourself, man? How are you feeling hopeful this week?
I'm feeling hopeful because today marks that 7 months since that goddamn accident took place.
Okay.
Right. And in this realization, I'm no longer having to wrap my wounds like I did. Like, fam, 7 months on paper, that's more than half of a year spent just healing.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100%, but I'm way further than I started this journey, right? And having this moment of understanding, like, everything is seasonal. Like, it always comes back to that interview that we had with Trina Morris back in the day of, like, life really does have its seasons. And as this spring is happening, I'm hopeful that this spring is abundant in whatever the fuck you need abundance in. And really just accepting that to be a fact and the truth and live in that moment. So that's what I'm hopeful for.
Well, man, if anybody else needed some hope out there and they needed to check in with the good folks over at Off the Strength, and maybe they even wanted to come down to the Block of the Rock, one day we're going to see all of these videos that people have been taking throughout the course of these years.
Never. We're
going to see them all strung together somewhere, because I promise you, we are in Scandinavian countries. We are in Korea somewhere.
We in black churches.
We in black churches. There's been a literal parade of people that come across our path right here live on the Block of the Rock that put us in photos that we never ever see. So one day, if you do come down, make sure you tag us in these actual pictures.
I like the way you put that, man.
Yeah.
Come on, ask us for a tag or something. You see the
help
sign.
us to help you to find us again.
If you got a photo of us, of the Off the Strength
send
podcast somewhere, you can send it to offthestrength.com.
Yeah.
Right? There's when you can see our email and all that jazz. Matter of fact, send it to info@offthestrength.com.
Even better.
There we go. Send it there. If you got a photo of Off the Strength, I would love to see that.
All right, man.
If you want, visit us. You could always visit offthestrength.com, or you can visit Rockefeller Center, the greatest city in the world. You can come on down. You can see us record live and direct from the Block of the Rock. If you can't make it in, you can visit on Instagram at Rockefeller Center or X at Rock Center NYC.
That's right. Once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strength. I'm a trainer called Tony.
KR Jones.
Peace and much love to everybody out there. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Peace. What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off the Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.